Hello. I just wanted to give my reaction about last night's Islanders game. I usually don't stay up and watch full hockey games, but last night I just was watching it and I continued to watch it because even though they had a 3-0 lead, I just had a feeling that they were going to blow it because they were giving up so much time in their own defensive zone to the Hurricanes, and there were so many shots on goal by the Hurricanes. It was just a constant onslaught. So first I want to say that, the Islanders haven't won for a long time, and it's not very healthy to always have a sports team that loses. If you look at some cities, it can demoralize an entire city if they have one or two sports teams that just always lose. And then it can make them get used to losing in life and to feel like they have to respectfully lose everything just because their sports team loses. Now, this year, the Islanders are playing the same team that knocked them out in the first round last year. So I thought that they were going to come out strong and try to get some redemption from last year's loss. But they came out flat, and then yesterday's game was the worst. It was, it was one thing after the other. So it was such a waste of time to stay up and watch the game, but you're not going to get any good commentary about the game if you watch like SNY or ESPN. I think my notes are more beneficial and enlightening about what really happened. So let's start it off. So I don't understand how guys in their 20s and 30s can so calmly lose a professional hockey game like that. Like, they should have more vigor and natural ferocity to try to win and not to lose. But it's like they're not even human, the way that they so simply lay down and lose. They're like punching bags for the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes, that's not even a team that's been around for what have they been around for 20 years? The Islanders have a longer history. But, the Islanders come in, they have their dorky logo, they have their blue and yellow colors like Superman, and they're playing the Hurricanes with these imposing black jerseys with the hockey stick and the flag and the hurricane. It's just the Islanders, they present themselves as nondescripts, as weak. They all look the same, the Islanders. They have no very skilled players. People thought Matt Barzal was going to be the second coming of Sidney Crosby. Matt Barzal, he's invisible. Maybe he had one rush in the game yesterday. He's invisible. And the same goes for Anders Lee and Brock Nelson. I know Lee had a goal yesterday, but it's not like I saw him much other than that. The only players that really stand out for the Islanders that you hear mentioned a lot are Peugeot, Palmieri, and Ciziquez, and maybe a little bit Matt Martin and Polak and Pelech on defense. Those players, you hear them mentioned a lot, but the mainstays of the Islanders, Nelson, Lee, and Barzal, they never really do anything in the playoffs. It's like they just, oh yeah, we're not getting paid for the playoffs, we get paid for the regular season, so why should we care about what happens in the playoffs? And that's the problem. Everything's about money in society now because money is harder to get because the national debt is so high that people are just caring more and more about money. And this happens in the NHL with the players. They don't want to show up for the playoffs anymore like they used to. So it's not good. So the Hurricanes, people are treating them. They came out the first game, and I'm listening to the Islanders telecast, and the Islanders announcers, the first 10 minutes of the game, they're just putting over the Hurricanes oh, this is such a great team. The Islanders got their work cut out for them. The Hurricanes are so good. What did the Hurricanes have, 10 more points in the regular season than the Islanders, or 15? The Islanders had maybe 4 more losses in regulation. The Hurricanes aren't that good. They weren't that good last year. Last year they were missing some people. And they're really not that good this year. They have good players, but they're not players. It's not like Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. It's Svechnikov and some other Pesci and Natchez and all these, and Jordan Stahl, who's, he's past his prime. They don't have that many good players. Their goalie's not very good. And the Islanders got one shot in the third period yesterday. So the Islanders are just calm, lame, and they're pushovers. They give their goalie no support. So, you saw that Varlamov, he took that bad penalty when this team were up 3-0. He whacked the Hurricanes player in his crease. I wish he would have whacked one of his own players and said, "Come on, guys, let's get out of the zone here." He shouldn't have taken a penalty. He should have, whacked Nelson or Lee or Barzal and said, "Come on, get some time in the offensive zone. I can't breathe out here. I have no support, and I'm just being barraged with shots again and again." And Patrick Roy, the Islanders coach, he should know this. He used to be a goalie. So he should tell his players that you can't let Varlamov keep facing all this pressure. Varlamov's having to go from left to right, from left to one side of the net to the other, and it's tired on his legs. I bet you he can't even get out of bed today. He's so tired. He saw such intensity of attack. So he should have whacked his own player. That was a stupid penalty by him, but Barzal, just invisible. We thought that Barzal was going to be this guy who can get assists and stuff. There's no point of signing a player with a good regular season record that doesn't have good playoff numbers. Like, the goal is to win the Stanley Cup. The goal is not to have a good regular season and then get knocked out in the first round like the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, sure, their team makes a lot of money and they have a lot of fans, but at the end of the day, it's just depressing to be a Maple Leafs fan because, your team loses every year and they're supposed to be good. So Barzal, I'd rather have a player that's good in the postseason. He has never proven himself in the postseason except for maybe once or twice. So Patrick Roy, they had the after the game press conference, and he just came out there all sad, and he's got no fire. Patrick Roy, he's like he's too subdued and calm, and he used to be when he was like in his 30s. He had this long hair. He was out there. He was fighting with Ron Hextall or whatever. And now he's just sitting there and he's just showing off his watch. He's sitting there at the press conference and everyone's just looking at his watch because he is so boring to look at. It's terrible. So thank God that the hockey gods didn't waste our time in this game and cause a very long overtime. It was 3-2. The Islanders were winning, and I just knew the Hurricanes were going to win the game. So I went on to DraftKings. I don't like sports betting. I hate it. Everybody loses their money sports betting. You never win. But what I do is I just put a small bet on the Hurricanes because I figure if the Islanders win, I'll lose the money that I bet on the Hurricanes, but at least I will get to see the Islanders win. And then I figure if the Islanders lose, at least I'll make some money from my Hurricanes bet. So the odds were ridiculous. When it was 3-2, the Islanders were winning. The bookies still thought that the Islanders were going to win. You could bet like $1 on the Hurricanes and win $3 in the third period. So I just went on there and I did like a 20-cent bet because, you always lose in sports betting anyway. They shouldn't run all those advertisements. It's bad enough that my team's losing. I don't really care about the over-under. Over-under what? Like, I'm just watching the game. The team is getting shellacked. They're getting their butts handed to them, and then I get to see the over/under. Over/under what? Like over/under losing. They're gonna lose, or they're gonna lose again next year. Over this team under the bridge, water under the bridge. Another year they're losing, so it's just terrible. But the hockey gods didn't waste our time because after Carolina scored that third tying goal, they came right back and scored another one. So at least it was quick. We didn't have to sit through a 2-period overtime and really, it's spring break now, so people do have a lot of time, but who wants to sit through an overtime to watch their team blow a 3-0 lead? I'd rather they just blow it in the third period, that 3-0 lead. So at least that was, that made it, that blunted the force of the loss. So, ticket prices at game 3 and 4 in the Islanders UBS Arena, they're like $20 more than last year. And last year, the Islanders, I think they won maybe game 2 last year, or they went into they went into UBS and it was 1-1 the series. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I thought the Islanders had a better chance last year, but ticket prices are more money this year. I don't know why you'd go to the game. It's like, I don't even know why if you're like a father or mother, I don't know why you introduce yourself to the Islanders. They lose all the time, and it's just like to introduce your kid to a losing team, it's not going to really help their development at all. Unless you want them to be, good-spirited losers, to introduce them to a team like that, I don't know. It's different. Maybe 20 years ago, somebody would introduce me to the Islanders, and they'd say, oh, yes, they won 4 Stanley Cups when I was watching them. When I was a kid, or when I was in, school or college, they won 4 Stanley Cups. I'd say, wow, that's pretty great. Yeah, these guys are good. And then, but now if you were to introduce your kids to the Islanders, you'd say, yeah, they haven't won a Stanley Cup. They're kind of like the lapdog of the league. The Islanders sure made those Carolina Hurricanes fans feel good last night. Those Carolina Hurricanes fans, that's probably one of the best games they've ever seen. They got their money's worth on those tickets. You see those fans, they were rocking and rolling. They were happy. The Islanders sure did a great thing for the Carolina Hurricanes fans last night. But if you're an Islanders fan, it's tough, and you might want to start reconsidering your allegiance to this team, unless they make some major changes. The way the Hurricanes look at it right now is that they're playing the New York B team, and next round they'll play the New York A team, the Rangers. I don't even know if Carolina's gonna, they might give some of their star players a break next game, run 4 lines. The Islanders are gonna have to change all their lines. They got to do something with Barzal. I don't know what you can do with him. He's got to bulk up. He's got to gain 5 pounds by the next game, and he's got to get faster. The Islanders, it's like the way they play, it's like they're afraid to get hurt. They're so gentle, Nelson, Lee, and Barzal. It's like they're scared to get hurt. So they don't try hard. Once in a while they'll just, ball into the net of the other team out of nowhere. You're like, where was that during a decent time? It's like they skate at 90%. They don't finish their hits all the time. It's like they're playing that they're afraid they're going to get hurt. I wish there was Zach Parise this year, because there's some Islanders out there now. I saw them last night, and I've just never heard of them before. And Zach Parise was such a he was a good player, Zach Parise, and he wasn't too old. And I just wish that he would have been there this season too. It's not a good idea to start inexperienced players in the playoffs. 10, 15 years ago, the Islanders, they had guys like Bill Guerin and Doug Weight, and even though they maybe made the playoffs one year with those guys, they had experience, and experience matters in the playoffs. So Zach Parise, he would have helped the Islanders this year, and it's too bad we didn't see him. Varlamov shouldn't have made that penalty. He's old enough. He should know better. So I guess they're going to start Sorokin next game, which is good because Varlamov is going to be so tired anyway. It's no knock on Varlamov to not start him next game. He did great for those 2 games. He did wonderful. He gave up 4 goals last night, and really the only goal that was his fault was the 4th one, that fluky goal. But, we didn't want to watch an overtime just to watch the Islanders lose it in the second overtime anyway. So that eased it a lot. So Islanders are not going to have any meaningful games this series if there's a Game 7. My prognosis is that the Islanders will win Game 3, and even if they win Game 4 and it's 2-2, it's a very hard series for them to win. I probably think the Canes are going to win this one in 5. They could even sweep them. If the Hurricanes come out on Thursday and they score a quick goal, and it could be over for the Islanders. So I'm just thinking that Islanders, I don't see any improvement. And, maybe next year Lowe's can sponsor them so that they could put a big L on their helmet, because that's how I feel watching them now.